a slave to the mind. Quote, "It is fear that makes you believe that you are living and that you will be dead. What we do not want is the fear to come to an end. That is why we have invented all these new minds, new sciences, new talks, therapies, choiceless awareness, and various other gimmicks." Close quote. U.G. Krishnamurti. Man does not see reality. He sees his mind. His world is a reflection of his psyche, and he wouldn't want it any other way, even if he were aware of it. He is a self-deceiver. He will unknowingly reject anything that is not his status quo, regardless of whether it's true or not. Why? Naturally, the mind's default mode is survival, and change threatens that. Hence the popular term, people hate change. It isn't the people, it's their mind that they've identified with. You see, we think what we believe is what we are. It isn't. In an adult, very few psychologically speaking, beliefs mean nothing and are seen for what they are. In children, the vast majority, their belief systems are the foundation of their existence. Self-identity. This leads us to self-identity, the image we hold of ourselves. It's certainly helpful to have a positive self-identity as we meander the world, but it is only an idea. It's a mind-created illusion. There is nothing wrong with that. It's necessary for most people's desires. But in truth, the ego with which we identify is an accumulation of old habits conditioned by past experience and held together by memory. Memories are illusions, and therefore what we perceive ourselves to be is an illusion too. That's rationality for you. This understanding doesn't negate the self. It reveals its nature. When someone with a rigid self-identity is rattled, survival mode kicks in and there is an emotional upheaval. The ego dares not change or adapt because to an undeveloped mind, the vast majority, that is equal to death. The illusion of self, with all of its beliefs, is fearing the end of itself. Naturally, it will do everything it can to keep it together. The ego cares for survival, it does not care for truth. The ego's nature repels truth because truth is the great destroyer, the destroyer of all that isn't. With truth comes the demolition of what the mind perceives itself to be. Why would the mind actively seek that? The average mind is just a collection of beliefs, conditions, and frameworks put there by society. When you have these likes and dislikes, you prefer one thing and have an aversion to the other. The mind is a dualistic mechanism, and this isn't right or wrong, it just means it's useful for some things and dreadful for others. Further, the mind continually seeks structure, forms, and meaning, and then it becomes limited by the same structures, forms, and meanings. The limited and linear nature of the mind cannot be at peace due to the continual categorization of reality. There is nothing wrong with any of this. It's Maya's mechanism of entrapment and allows for a wonderful dream. It's just not true. Comfort. Take a look around you. Anxiety, depression, and unhappiness drench our society. The world doesn't hold the answers to these problems. If it did, it'd be solved by now. We've never seen so many therapists, psychologists, coaches, and the like, yet we've never had so many problems. The truth must be that these things don't work, or at best, the people trying to use these techniques are ineffective. It is painful for society to comprehend because it's so reliant on them and these industries supply significant demand. But that doesn't change reality. The more externally comfortable a society, the more psychological problems it has. Take modern Western culture as an example. Since World War II, mental health issues have steadily increased until the turn of the century, where they've skyrocketed. A large part of this is excessive comfort levels of the wealth is passed down generations. If there is little suffering externally, the mind will create a sense of suffering. Welcome to 2022. With this awareness, man can stimulate the mind with action. Again, take a look around you. The vast majority live lives of quiet desperation. They're robots fitting into society's mould, their work not giving them anything but a paycheck, steadily bankrupting their soul. Without inspired action, a vigorous and sincere drive towards an authentic passion, the comfort of society will eat them for lunch. Opening the cage. There is no process. There is no planned doingness. Nothing anyone will tell you will break the chains. Transformation comes from shifting perception and its related effects, period. Freedom is an effect of the way one is. You cannot do freedom. You can only be free as an effect of clear understanding. And here is the problem with the spiritual marketplace in the self-development industry. How many hours does one need to meditate until they get there? How many cold showers does one need until they can function as a natural man? They're a joke, and it's about time someone called it for what it is. With purity of intention and action, the mind becomes a slave to nature, your true self.